Alright, today we're talking about baseball in Brazil, the largest country in South America, 5th largest in the world, and well known mostly for one sport, and it's not baseball. Like almost every other country in the world, baseball was first introduced there in the late 19th century by visiting American workers. After that, Brazil's baseball history takes a very unique turn. Starting in 1908, immigrants from Japan began to come in, creating a Japanese-Brazilian community, mostly in Sao Paulo, that still exists today. Over the years, more than 200,000 immigrants arrived from Japan, and with them they brought their national sport. Today, the number of Brazilians of Japanese descent is estimated at over 1.6 million, and baseball continues to be played within that community, even though the flow of immigrants stopped a long time ago, and most Japanese Brazilians today are generations removed from the mother country. This community ensured that baseball would survive in the country over the next century. We've seen in some other countries how baseball has struggled to exist after its first introduction, but the game always had its place in Brazil. However, growth of the game would be limited to the growth of this community, as baseball was mostly closed off to non-Japanese people. And the Japanese Brazilians who were involved with the game didn't achieve anything significant. In 1958, in commemoration of 50 years of Japanese immigration, the Waseda University baseball team from Japan paid a visit to Brazil for some friendly competition with this new Japanese community. The team from Waseda dominated, winning all 16 games played. Aside from that, there wasn't much of a link between Japan and the Japanese-Brazilian baseball community. Brazilians were not moving up to playing in Japan, nor were they building their country into a baseball power. So baseball in Brazil moved into the 21st century as a sport confined largely to the ethnic Japanese population. Growth in numbers and growth in talent was stagnant. But like in so many other countries, Brazilian baseball has seen progress in the last 10 years that they'd never imagined was possible before. On May 17, 2012, catcher Yan Gomes debuted for the Toronto Blue Jays, becoming the first ever Brazilian-born player to reach the major league level. He had started playing baseball in Brazil at age 9 and moved to Florida with his family when he was 12. In 9 seasons, he's hit over 100 home runs, won a World Series, a Silver Slugger, and played in one All-Star game. 1 year after the debut of Gomes, André Rienzo became the first Brazilian-born pitcher in MLB when he appeared for the Chicago White Sox. As a child in Sao Paulo, Rienzo's mother encouraged him to mix with the Japanese community to keep him out of trouble, and that is how he was introduced to the game. After 3 years in MLB, he's had 3 successful years in the summer and winter leagues of Mexico. 2 years after Rienzo's debut, in April of 2015, another Brazilian, Paulo Orlando, debuted for the Kansas City Royals. He became the first player in Major League history to record 3 triples in his first 3 Major League hits. And with 5 triples in his first 7 games, he became the fastest to reach 5 triples to start his career. He didn't start playing baseball until he was 12, recommended by a doctor of Japanese descent. He became the first hitter born and raised entirely in Brazil to play in MLB. His Major League career lasted 4 years, and he now plays in the LMP. In 2017, 2 more Brazilians would debut in MLB, making it 5 in a span of 6 years. An amazing accomplishment for a country that had never produced a Major League player before. Those 5 players all grew up in Sao Paulo. That is where the country's baseball academy is located. It's also home to most of Brazil's Japanese population, which is how Rienzo and Orlando came into contact with the sport. So all the progress we speak of when discussing baseball in Brazil is mostly just in that one area. The next Brazilian we see reach the Major League level could be Toronto Blue Jays prospect Eric Pardinho. The 19-year-old right-hander can throw in the mid-90s. In 2019 at Single-A Lansing, he recorded a 2.41 ERA in 7 starts, 8.0 strikeouts per 9. Another Brazilian pitcher, 23-year-old Bo Takahashi of the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, played at Double-A Jackson in 2019, where he was 9-7, ERA 3.72 in 118 innings. And the prospects are going to keep coming. At the baseball academies in Sao Paulo, there is no shortage of young athletes. Most of them are soccer players looking for an alternative sport. In a country of over 200 million people, where 1/3 of the population is under 20, we've only seen a small sample of the talent pool Brazil has to offer. It's not just individual achievements we're seeing. In November of 2012, only 6 months after Yan Gomes' historic debut, the national baseball team of Brazil took part in a qualifying round for the 2013 WBC. Placed in a qualifier with Panama, Nicaragua, and Colombia, 3 countries known for producing major league talent, Brazil emerged as the champion, going 3-0 against what was thought to be superior competition. 4 months later, at the big tournament, they bowed out after going winless in the first round, but lost to Japan by only 2, and Cuba by only 3. The Brazilian national baseball team is presently ranked 21st in the world, and coached by Major League Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. There is a national championship. The Brazilian Baseball Championship takes place every year in October and November, with 16 teams competing from all around the country. Eventually, they hope to have a professional league, and given the local talent they're producing, they seem ready for it. But players and fans of the game are almost completely limited to Sao Paulo. Unless you want to go with a one-city league, it just won't work right now. There hasn't been much effort to spread the game to other cities because, with a population of over 20 million, Sao Paulo is enough to draw from. Baseball had a head start in this city with the existence of baseball in the Japanese community. It would be a harder sell elsewhere. Besides, the focus of baseball in Brazil has been to develop individual players for the Major League system, not to grow the sport within the country. When they finally do launch a professional baseball league in Brazil, it'll be interesting to see what sort of baseball culture emerges from it. As more Brazilians have been traveling to the United States in the past decade, they've taken an interest in baseball, and American sports in general. Not just the game, but the environment at sports events. So a Brazilian baseball league in the future could see signs of American influence, like cheerleaders, fireworks, flyovers, and live performances. But given their location, it's hard to imagine them not being influenced by South American neighbors Venezuela and Colombia, two countries well established in the baseball world, where the game follows the Caribbean style. Or they could choose to preserve the game's roots in Brazil and have it more resemble the Japanese version, which would set it apart from all other baseball-playing countries of the Western Hemisphere. Or what's most likely is they'll combine all three, and hopefully add a little something unique of their own to create a whole new baseball culture that doesn't exist anywhere else. If that is what a future Brazilian baseball game looks like, it would be a good representation of the on-field product. Looking at their national team, you still find a lot of Japanese Brazilians, but you'll also find a growing number of Brazilians of other ethnicities. Americans of Brazilian descent like Bo Bichette and his brother Dante Bichette Jr. Several Cuban defectors have also played for the national team. Will this be the next baseball powerhouse in Latin America? Maybe, maybe not. Will it be a unique addition to the baseball world? Definitely. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.